Digital transformations are complex undertakings no matter what kind of organization you are, but this is especially true if you're a multinational organization. So what is it we need to know about multinational digital transformations? That's what we're going to talk about here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting, and we're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world reach their third stage of digital transformation success. Most of the clients we work with are multinational organizations. Most of them operate in multiple countries, and they've grown that way either through organic growth and or through mergers and acquisitions. And one of the things that we find is that digital transformations are difficult no matter what kind of organization you are. But if you're a multinational corporation, you're going to experience even more complexity, risk, cost, and just things that can go wrong with the project. However, there's also more upside potential with a multinational corporation. So the question becomes, what is it we need to know about a multinational implementation or a multinational digital transformation in order to be successful? So what I want to do today is talk about some of the considerations that you need to think about in addition to normal digital transformation best practices that apply to any organization. What are the additional things you need to think about and worry about and plan for as part of your multinational transformation? Before we dive too far into today's content, I want to share a little bit of information about Third Stage Consulting and who we are. Third Stage Consulting Group is an independent technology agnostic provider of consulting services to help clients through their digital transformations. We help with digital strategy and software selection, as well as implementation planning. And during implementation, we provide services related to program management, organizational change, business process improvement, as well as enterprise architecture. These are just some of the services we provide. We have offices in North America as well as Europe and Asia Pacific. So if you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to check out our resource center, which includes a number of resources that will help you through your digital transformation, and you can access that for free using the QR code here or the links below. You can also reach out to me directly if you'd like to discuss your digital transformation and brainstorm ideas on how to improve where you're headed on your journey. Now let's jump back into today's content. Let's first talk about why multinational digital transformations and ERP implementations are so difficult. What are the things that make them unique or different from a usual, if there is such a thing, a usual digital transformation? Some of the things that come to mind are, first of all, you're dealing with a variety of complexities on a larger scale than a domestic or a single location sort of organization. Most multinationals are operating in different countries that operate with different languages and different cultures. So your people alone are going to be much different throughout an organization. So bringing them all together into a common transformation and moving towards a common operating model, if that is part of what you're trying to do as part of your transformation, just becomes that much more difficult, and it takes that much more time. So the organizational and cultural aspects of digital transformations are much more complex for a multinational corporation. Same goes with business processes. As we look at the business processes and the operations and the way an organization works, generally speaking, you're going to find that there's a lot of disparate operations and disparate business processes within a multinational organization. This is especially true if your growth and the multinational expansion has come through mergers and acquisitions. So if you've bought other companies that operate entirely differently or largely differently than the way you work, that's just adding to the complexities and the differences that exist within your organization. And then finally, the technical complexity is usually a lot more complex, largely because the operations are different, which means it's highly likely that you have different systems that are being used in different parts of the world. You might have redundant systems and just a hodgepodge of a variety of different systems that are not talking to one another and are siloed and fragmented. So that creates a level of complexity and risk that's just more difficult than an average digital transformation. So these are some of the things to think about. We have to think about and understand the nuances and the things that make multinational implementations more complex. But what I want to do in the rest of this video is talk about what you can do about it. What are some of the things you should focus on to address these complexities and these risks? One of the biggest reasons why most multinational corporations that we work with go through digital transformations is because they want to standardize operations. If they're operating in a fragmented way or an inconsistent way across the globe, a digital transformation on a global scale is going to allow them to operate more consistently, act like one company in a way that's more efficient, more effective for the organization, and one that provides a better customer experience for their customers. So it's a way to reduce complexity and simplify operations, increase profitability, and provide better service to your customers. So the question becomes then, what do we need to do to make sure we achieve this vision of standardizing operations? And this is where multinational corporations need to spend more time up front defining what those operations are going to look like and what their future state target operating model is going to look like. Now, I'm going to come back to this point later in the video, and I'm going to talk about how you can do that. But essentially, what you want to do at this point is understand that the focus on business processes and business process standardization is even more important and more pronounced than the need for any other sort of digital transformation. I mentioned before that multinational corporations have multiple cultures, countries, languages, and types of people that they deploy or employ in an organization. And this is why change management is even more important for a multinational transformation. If you think about the levers you might pull on a domestic implementation from a change management perspective, that's going to be a lot simpler, not simple, but simpler than trying to manage change across an entire organization that's very diverse, has very different cultures, different languages, and different ways of operating. So change management is always one of the most important, if not the most important success factor for a digital transformation, but it's especially important for a multinational organization. The only way we're going to ensure that we start acting like a single corporation and get everyone on the same page and refine and standardize our business processes the way we want to is not just by putting in new technology, but more importantly, it's by managing the change and ensuring that people adopt to and embrace these new changes and start acting like one company. Now, at the end of the day, it's the behavior of people that's ultimately going to make our transformation successful. The technology alone will not do it. It'll give us a possibility of acting like one company, but it's the behavior of people that will ultimately enable that vision of being a single company, being more standardized, integrating operations, and just having better visibility into the overall operations. If I were to summarize what makes multinational corporations different in terms of how they manage implementations and digital transformations, it's that there's just overall complexity that's higher, much higher, and in some cases exponentially higher for multinational organizations. I already mentioned how the business processes are different, the people are different, the cultures are different. I talked earlier about how the systems are different. There's different technologies and different silos of data through the organization. So there's just a lot of things that are different. And so we've got to figure out how we're going to bring this all together and have a plan to implement a solution that's going to address those complexities and challenges that we face. The other thing I haven't mentioned yet is the regulatory landscape. When we have multinational corporations, we have different regulations throughout the world that we have to comply with, which means our business processes are inherently going to have to look a little bit different in different parts of the world. And that sometimes makes it more challenging to find that right balance between standardized common business processes and independent and decentralized and flexible business processes. So defining all that stuff takes a long time, and it's ultimately what can slow down or derail a project. So the key here is to make sure that we address this stuff up front and have a clear vision for what it is we're trying to address and how we're going to address those things. And that's what I'm going to talk about in terms of how to do that in this next section of this video. So if you're a multinational corporation, you're beginning a digital strategy, it's important to think about your overall transformation in the context of not starting too quickly before you have a solid plan. You want to make sure you have a time or a phase in a project that's like a phase 0. It's a pre-implementation phase where you might spend months, in some cases even more than a year, just planning for what it is you're going to do. It's where you start to define what your standard business processes are going to be. It's where you define your change strategy. It's where you define what technology or technologies you're going to replace or not replace. It's when you define how you're going to roll out new technologies and new process changes, new organizational changes. All those things you have to have a solid plan for and a solid understanding of before you jump in and just start deploying new technologies. It's a lot like building a house. When you build a house or any sort of building, you want to make sure you have an architect, you have a general contractor, you have a blueprint for what it is each of the different subcontractors are going to do in building that house or that building. Too many organizations skip that blueprinting or that general contracting phase and go straight into bringing in the plumber or bringing in the roofer to start building a house. And that's not the appropriate way to build a house, and it's certainly not the appropriate way to effectively go through a digital transformation. And quite frankly, that's why most digital transformations fail, is because they don't take the time to do that planning phase up front. So phase zero is especially important for multinational corporations. And I have a whole video actually that dives into this concept of phase zero and talks about all the different work streams and steps involved in phase zero. If you'd like to learn more about that, please check out this video right here. It's on my YouTube channel. I dive into it for about 15 or 20 minutes. It talks just about phase zero and things you can do to prepare for your multinational digital transformation. So I hope this has provided you some guidance on how to navigate a multinational transformation and some of the things that are unique and nuanced within a multinational transformation. If you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to read our ebook called Lessons from 1,000 Digital Transformations. And it's a book we publish. You can get it for free on our website, and it talks about 20 lessons that we have from having helped so many different multinational corporations through their transformations. You can read that by scanning the QR code right here, or you can go to the links below. So I hope you found this information useful, and hope you have a great day. Multinational corporations oh no, I didn't say my name. Standardizing. If you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to read our, what do I want you to read? I feel like I'm just talking like words. There's just words coming out that don't make sense. Did that make any sense to you guys?